Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today I want to take some of the intimidation out of making bows with ribbon. I know how intimidating it can be to see those beautiful bows and think you can't do it, but you're going to be able to do it, and I'm going to show you how, because I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks I know as we go through this video. First, I want to encourage you to pick up some cable ties, and these are zip ties. What I love about this pack is that they are all multiple sizes. There's little tiny ones and there's big ones in there, and it's like 100, 200 in a pack. This will last you forever. So pick up some of these guys. And I also like to use chenille stems. Now I only use this to attach the bow to the project because today I want to show you how to get a beautiful bow with less work using a zip tie. So let me pull one of these guys out. So I'm going to use a medium zip tie from that bag. This is like an 8-inch zip tie, and it is overkill as far as how much I need it to loop around the center of the bow, but I find that I work really easy with these with one hand, and I'll show you what I mean when we get there. All right, the first ribbon we're going to use is a wired double-sided ribbon. We're going to start with that. This is the most simple bow to make, okay? Wired edges, double-sided. When you've got pattern on both sides, your bow is going to look good from any angle without extra work. To get started making a bow, the first part is the center loop. We make this center loop for a couple of reasons. One, your bow needs a center point for you to look at, and secondly, it's going to cover up the workings once we get all this squished together and have our zip tie on there, okay? Now for this bow, I'm going to take all the work out of it. Are you ready for this? Here's what we're going to do. We're just going to create loops and push them underneath that circle on both sides of our first loop. I'm going to turn this sideways to show you what I mean. I'm basically just making like figure eights or S's, just like this. I'm not going to squish it together in the middle or anything. We're going to make this super easy. So you see me taking the ribbon, bringing it together in the middle, matching up my loop sizes, and I'm going to do the same thing over here, just bringing it together, just making these little S loops, just like this. I love this fall ribbon. It's very pretty. And continue making loops until you have what you're looking for as far as the size of a bow. If you want your bow to be super full and very round, add a whole lot of loops. I tend to catch myself making 4 loop bows and 6 loop bows, and when I'm doing something really big, like on a really big wreath or the top of a Christmas tree or something like that, I might even do 8 or 10, but it's just your own habit, your own personal opinion. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't count the center one because the center one is really just decoration. And so there's 6. Now I want to make sure I've got 6 on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoop, too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, just got dizzy. Okay, so there we go. I'm not going to cut this away, and I'll tell you why. I want my bow to have tails, and I want to do this all in one step. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this ribbon. I'm going to make a longer loop. All right, I want to see if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just leaving myself some extra room, and it's in a loop, and I'm going to not attach it, but just sit it underneath my other loops. So you can see now I have this longer loop. This will make a single extra tail, like one on either side. But let's say you want 2. I'll go ahead and do 2. I'll just make another loop, just like I did. This one I'll make a little bit smaller. This is hard to do on camera, by the way. It's easy to do in person. So I'm going to make this loop a little smaller. So you see I have a big loop, a little smaller, all just laying here in the middle. Now I can literally cut this ribbon away if I want to, or I can leave it there in case I want to be able to pull and tug and adjust things. I don't think I'm going to do that on this one because it'll be hard to do with you guys watching me. So I'm just going to cut this away. So I've cut my ribbon away and I'm through with that. And you can see what I've got. All my loops. They're just loops laid out, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the middle and I'm going to squish this together just like this. And I'm not stressing about it. I'm just holding it squished together because the zip tie is going to do the work, okay? So I'm going to lay this zip tie underneath. I'll bring it where you can see it in just a second. I'm just wrapping it around the middle of my bow. Okay, so I'm going to show you one side and the other. See, I've just wrapped it there, and I've got the piece to close here. And notice how it's come loose. I'm not worried about that. I'm just going to push it down in there. And now I'm going to close my zip tie. And this is why I like to use a little longer one, because see, I'm having to do it with one hand. And when it's a little bit longer, it really helps me get it started. So now we're going to zip this guy down. See how I'm moving the zip tie knot to the bottom of the bow? You want to do that, just work it down and tighten it super duper tight. So I'm just going to tighten it up as tight as my hands will tighten it. You can't do this with the chenille stems. You can't get that center that tight, or at least I can't, because my hands are just not strong enough. Now we don't need this little extra piece, so I'm going to cut that away. So now you can see I've cut the extra piece away and we just have it ready to build the bow. So we've built our foundation and now it's time to turn this into a bow. And here's what you do. Because we have the tightness in this center section, we can now get down into the bottom of this bow and twist and move these loops around because it's not going anywhere. We're not going to come untied in the middle. So I can really, really work this bow around, okay? So fluffing, fluffing, fluffing. Also, I used wired ribbon and I used double-sided ribbon. So now I know no matter which way my bow loops are headed, they're going to look right because they're going to be colored on both sides. See that? So there's half of the bow. That's our center. Now we need to do this side. Again, manhandle it. And you can, because like I said, we used the zip tie. I love the wired ribbon because I can get in there and shape my loops any way I want them and have them go in any direction that I want to have them go. So now you can see we have a nice kind of oval bow. Now this is personal preference for me. This is how I like to make my bows. When you start making yours, you can go crazy and do them in all different ways and different shapes. But I like to start with something like this. Now the other thing, this bow is not going to look like much all by itself, but when I put this onto my project and I'm able to mess with these loops again and put them where I want them to go, then this becomes exactly what I wanted. Now I want to show you this. If you're looking for a more circular bow, you want to add more loops because that way you can pull those loops around and have them meet like this, and that is why you definitely want to use wired ribbon. That's my favorite. I think when they created wired ribbon, it was the most brilliant thing in the world. Now let's look at these tails. How do we deal with these guys that are still just loops? So what we're going to do here is we're going to stretch these pieces out all the way centered. You see how I'm trying to hold in the middle of the bow, in the middle of the tail, and then I'm going to fold them in half where that is. So basically we're just finding the center of that ribbon. So I folded it in half just like this. You can see that. Now I'm going to take these wired edges and fold them to each other. This is how we start to make a dovetail. So you see here I folded it in half with the wired edges together. Now, and I don't recommend these scissors for this, but they're the ones I have handy. I would normally have my Tonic scissors or my Tim Holtz shears, but I used them outside in decorating and didn't bring them back in the craft room yet. So I'm going to come from the folded edge up. I'm going to start up and go toward that wired edge that is out. So I'm just going to snip like this. Again, don't use these scissors for this. This is bad Maymay. All right, so you see this point? That makes a dovetail point. How perfect, right? Let's do the same thing on the center one. So fold my wired edges together. Come back about an inch, inch and a quarter, as deep as you want your dovetails to be, and then cut toward the wire, just like so. Now then, you have your bow like this. You come in and you move these tails out. Do you see that? And you can put them anywhere you want them on your project. Now, you may not want 4 tails for a bow this size, but I wanted to show you how to get double tails while we were making the bow. You may only want the 2. Let me show you, like if I move these longer ones away, you can, again, do this based on your project. I made bows like this to go on my light fixtures outside. I'll insert a picture of that too. And it didn't need 4 tails, it just needed the 2. So depending on your project, you add what you like, and also based on your personal preference. So there's one bow. Now I just want to give you some tips for using single-sided ribbon. So with single-sided ribbon, you have one side that's really pretty, and when you flip it over, you have one side that's not as pretty. Although that is pretty, it's just not the same as the front. If we were to do this like we did our first one, and we just were to make these loops, I want to show you what will happen. One loop is going to be dark, and the other loop is going to have the pattern on it. Can you see that? Dark here, pattern here. We don't want to do that. So here's how we're going to remedy it. You'll take your ribbon and you'll make your first loop just like you did to start the first one, okay? So we've just made a loop here. Now this one takes a little more work. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to squish that loop in at the middle and hold it between our fingers. See how I've squished that in and I don't have the wide piece anymore? Now, so that this loop is the same ribbon as the first one, we're going to come right underneath here and twist, holding that twist in at the middle, okay? That twist is what gives us ribbon on both sides. Now we can bring this piece back to the middle. I'm going to squish it down in there just like that. And look, if I don't twist again, I still have the wrong side of the ribbon showing. So now I'm just going to take it and twist, and that gives me the right side of the ribbon showing. You see how that works? Again, squish this in. You're going to continue doing that throughout the whole bow. If you don't do the twist, you end up with ribbons that don't match. See there? So what I suggest, if you don't want to have to do this, make sure all your ribbons are double-sided, which you can pretty much nowadays find most everything in double-sided. So there's the tip for getting your ribbons to be the same. Now, things like this meshy stuff that sticks to itself that's kind of hard to work with, the cool thing about it is it's really hard to mess it up. And you can make this just like we did that first one by just looping and looping like we did, okay? And then squishing it in the middle and using that zip tie and then fluffing this guy out. You don't have to worry about twisting or anything when you do it like we did the first one. I hope that helps you guys with your bow making. I don't want you to be intimidated by making bows, because they're beautiful and they're fun to do, and you can pick all the ribbons you want to do. And remember, when you put this on your project, say you put this on the side of a wreath and then you run these ribbons up into the wreath, wouldn't that be beautiful to have this running up the side? I hope that helped you, and I hope that gets you making some bows. If you do, I want to see what you make over on my Facebook group, which is called Maymay Made It, and so did I. I look forward to seeing your creations. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.